Hello there, and welcome to the Brothers Take podcast. My name is Kris. I am joined once again by my brother Eric.
Hello.
And this is the podcast where two nerdy brothers get together each and every week, usually to talk gaming, but sometimes we talk about our other many interests too, including movies, TV shows, music. And in this week's episode, we want to do something very special, not only to mark Star Wars Day, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, everyone. Unless you're hearing this after the fact, in which case, I hope the 4th was with you. But this year is also a significant year for the Star Wars fandom, because it is the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I wish I could go see it in cinemas. I've been so busy, and I'm not going to get a chance. But this is a very iconic movie for us growing up. I suppose for anyone who doesn't know, we grew up in the 90s. So the original trilogy was already out, and we would have been shown that at a very young age. So it was they were very pivotal movies in our upbringing in terms of what we played, toys we got, merchandise. Even like when we went to Disneyland at a young age, the Star Wars ride was like one of our favorite rides, all that kind of stuff. Then the prequels came out while we were growing up. So we grew up with the prequels. What a time, right? It's kind of crazy that it's like they've all been out now over 20 years. That doesn't feel right. And then obviously now later on in life, we get the Disney era of Star Wars as well. So to celebrate 20 years of not only Revenge of the Sith, but also just to celebrate Star Wars as a whole, something that we have not talked nearly enough about on this podcast, given the impact that it had on us at such a young age, we're going to rank all of the Star Wars live action movies. We've decided to just do the movies so that we're not taking in the shows as well for this at this current time, because we haven't watched all the shows. There's a lot of them. That would make this an even like a much longer episode. And we also are not including the animated, even though it was theatrically released, Clone Wars movie, because in reality that was actually just a pilot for the Clone Wars show. Amazing show, by the way. But it was kind of like, it's like the way there was a theatrical release for the last episode of Sherlock. I still wouldn't class that then as a movie. It was still part of a show. So we're not including that. We're only including the 11 Star Wars live action movies, which is the 9 movies in the Skywalker saga and the 2 other anthology movies. We will be starting at the bottom, number 11, and working our way up. And I'm sure we will make people mad, or maybe people will feel the same way. Maybe we'll have a very normal or based kind of fan response to the Star Wars movies. I don't know, but we'll want to hear from you guys to celebrate all things Star Wars. So if you guys are watching YouTube, make sure you jump down into the comments to share your thoughts, your own personal rankings, your thoughts on our rankings. If you think we're crazy, if you absolutely agree with us, if you're a younger person who grew up with the Disney era movies and they're your absolute favorites because they mean so much to you. If you're an older generation person who grew up with the originals in the cinema and thinks everything that came after is total trash. If you're somebody who grew up with the prequels and thinks they were underappreciated and deserve to get more love now, let us know all those things. Jump down in the comments, and if you enjoyed us, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for future content. And to those who listen to us on audio platforms, you could also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take again to give your take on the ranking of the Star Wars movies. But without further ado, this is where the fun begins. There's gotta be loads of those, Eric. There's gotta be loads.
I do.
Quotes and puns
I feel like I should have actually, instead of going hello, I should have said General Kenobi. Considering you said.
I mean, yeah, you've let me down, to be honest. I'm
sorry.
I do like our color scheme here today. You're not only a blue background, but you've also got a blue shirt. And I've got a red background and a red shirt. We're representing the light and the dark side of the Force here. But Eric, do you want to will we just jump straight into it? Because we've got a lot of movies to go through.
We have 11 movies to get through.
Yeah.
So we should.
I do want to clarify that we have not spoken about this with each other yet, or
Nope.
shared our rankings. And normally, what we've done with other rankings in the past is done them in private, sent them to someone, and an amalgamated score. But because there's only two of us, it would be 50-50 each way. We don't like without Adam, we can't really do it that way. So we've
Hmm.
decided we're just going to each share. If it matches, great. Then we're just in agreement. And if it doesn't match, we will see where we differ.
Hmm.
So number 11, Eric, what did you have at the very bottom of your ranking list?
I actually, just before we came onto this podcast episode, this was my first
Yeah.
time watching the movie. So
Okay.
it's just,
Okay.
so it was Solo, a Star Wars story. That was my number 11.
Well, just to make this very simple, then, Solo: A Star Wars Story is also my number 11.
Hmm.
Um, I think, to be fair to the movie, it looks good. It's
It,
well shot. The costumes are great. Special effects are good.
hmm,
Planets look great. All of that stuff. But I find when watching it, and I think I've seen it three times now. My most
fair
recent,
play.
my most recent. I saw it in the cinema. I saw it again maybe a couple of years later to see is it really as is it was I just a bit mad at it? Like maybe it's better.
Were
And
you,
then the third time was to see where would I rank it for this.
so is that sort of like your Age of Ultron then? Like in another couple of years, you might think to yourself, is it as bad as I think it is? And then you'll
No,
watch it
I
and go,
I think I've really come to the conclusion as to why I don't enjoy it and why it's my least favorite Star Wars movie, and I don't think I will ever want to watch it again. Actually, is
right.
that I think it struggles to justify its existence.
Yes, there's no reason for there to be a solo movie. Although I think when
Yeah,
that was first announced to coming out, I think we knew that. I think
I
we
think I
kind
think
of
that's the
already
problem.
knew.
Like we didn't want it, and then when you watch it, you go, I still don't want it. I still.
Yeah, they kind of justify you. They justify you not wanting it. So you're kind of going, yeah, exactly.
That's
This was
exactly the
this
reason I didn't want to know Han Solo's backstory.
because
Um,
it is completely unnecessary.
I had no questions, and you started answering questions I never had that actually annoy me. Like
Yeah.
where he got the name Solo. Like, by the way, spoilers for every Star Wars movie. Not deep
Hmm.
dive spoilers, but just we'll be talking about them through the lens of people who have watched them all. Um, yeah, just the script is annoying. Um,
It starts horribly.
yeah,
The
it does.
text dialogue that comes up is like, who the fuck wrote this? It is really badly written.
Yeah.
The kind of text box that comes up, and then it starts, and it's not a great start.
No, it puts you on the back foot then for the movie. Because like
Yeah.
a lot, like Star Wars movies generally start really exciting, and
Yes.
so you're kind of like, oh fuck yeah, you know what? I don't know why people give any of these a bad rap. This is a great movie, and then maybe later on, a couple of them might lose you. You might be like, ah man,
Mm.
this is where the problems are. But Solo starts bad, so you're just kind of like, I don't think I can get on board with this. I cannot. No disrespect to the actor, good actor. I can't buy him as Han Solo though. I don't see Han Solo in him at all.
There are some times when I'm like, okay, I can see the evolution of him in the Star Wars. There is certain mannerisms and body work that he does.
Right.
So I don't mind the actors. I think the actors do a good job with the material they're given, and I think yeah, it's very well made on a technical scale movie, as in like the
Yeah.
special effects and all that sort of stuff, even when they're doing the Kessel Run. I like that they establish that the 12 parsecs is distance
Yeah, but
and not
also
time. Also, we didn't need to know that. We don't really care.
like the movie it doesn't reveal anything new. Everything that's in it we already knew. We
Yeah.
know he won the Millennium Falcon from Lando,
Yeah.
who is brilliantly. Now I do see Lando in this movie.
Yes,
He's the
he
best casting
really.
in the whole movie. He's
Hmm.
brilliant. And he's I enjoy his younger character. I thought the droid is a strange addition and
The droid is fucking annoying.
worst droid in Star Wars. And the droids are usually some of the best characters, but that is the worst droid.
That to me is again nodding against the actor. This is the writing. That is the
Yeah.
writers not understanding the droids in Star Wars,
Yeah, and doing
which I
something very
think
strange
is
with them.
which I think is a common thing to find in Disney Star Wars is they're not getting Star Wars. They don't get it. There's something
Okay.
about the heart and spirit of Star Wars just isn't there.
Okay.
Now, obviously, some people might come around and go, "Hey, you shut up! That fucking show, Clone Wars, is amazing." It's like, yeah. No, there's some outliers, and Dave Filoni knows his stuff, and Sam Witwer knows his stuff, and if they take over, it'll probably be brilliant. But just at the time of Solo coming out, there really was like, yeah, that the heart wasn't really there or something. They're kind of not getting it. They don't get it.
And
Uh,
don't get me started on the Darth Maul thing. I don't.
I won't,
I
but it was
don't.
unnecessary.
I don't get it. I don't get why he's in the movie as if it's setting up a sequel that's never going to happen. I don't know why he ignites his lightsaber on the hologram just to really show you that it is in fact exactly who you know it is, Darth Maul. And also, I know that in the Clone Wars they had that he survived and he plays a part in the animated series. I'm kind of okay with that just living there in that corner. But I have my own canon where, and I love Darth Maul. I have my own canon where Obi-Wan cut him in fucking half and he died. I'm sorry. I don't need to see Darth Maul again. Because I think
I
it's just kind of
think,
weird that he comes back with robot
I
legs and
think they
becomes a
were.
crime boss. I don't get it.
Yeah, I think they were wanting to establish that yeah, he was going to show up again, and I think he's voiced by Sam Witwer.
Oh, possibly.
It
Possibly.
sounded like his performance. Maybe I'm completely wrong there, but anyway, Solo just starts off bad, and then it answers questions we don't need
Yeah.
answered. It just kind of felt like a money grab movie, to be honest. Completely
Perfectly
unnecessary.
skippable Star Wars movie.
Yes, it's not needed,
Yeah.
to be
So,
honest.
yeah, that's our thoughts of Solo. We both agree that that is in our 11 spot in the ranking. So, Eric, number 10. What did you put at number 10?
The Last Jedi.
Interesting. I was
You didn't.
hemming and hawing, and I have put The Rise of Skywalker at number 10. But I'd love to hear first and I won't share my thoughts on Last Jedi yet until I get to where I ranked it. But why did The Last Jedi get spot number 10 for you?
Last Jedi gets spot number 10, right? Instead of Rise of Skywalker, I suppose. Because they're both pretty bad.
They're both pretty neck and neck, right?
Yeah, they're pretty neck and neck. So I was a little bit
Yeah.
like you, but the reason I put The Last Jedi at number 10
Yeah.
is because it takes a massive dump on what was established with The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
That was just so completely unnecessary to do that. And so the reason it's below The Force Awakens from me, as in it's at number 10, like, well,
And The Rise of Skywalker.
sorry, Rise of Skywalker is actually the one I meant. Rise of Skywalker, and
Sure.
why
Yeah.
that's not at number 10, that's up higher, is because it's because of The Last Jedi that the Rise of Skywalker happened, if that makes sense.
I get what you mean.
So it's the knock-on effect of
Yeah.
The Last Jedi, and it just
Yeah.
has a lot of decisions that are just like um doing the like nothing against the actor. Again, any of the decisions
No.
I dislike is nothing against the actors. I just think the whole Rose thing was unnecessary. The whole freeing the animal rights thing actually goes on par with the robot rights in Solo. Again, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're kind of not really getting Star Wars here.
And
So you,
the thing on that actually is kind of like it's not that there's a bad point to be made there. There's a good point to be made. But is this the movie and is this the
to
time to do it? Because that isn't the actual theme of your movie. And so
no.
to do it as a weird side story in the larger plot makes it feel like it's crammed in rather than an actual point to be made.
Yeah, like okay, so slightly jump back to Solo. If the plot was about freeing the robots from the hands of Dryden Voss, if that was kind of the main plot, and to
Right.
get access to there was to have the unrefined coaxium and do the Kessel Run, and that was to how to get in so they could free the robots. Now it makes sense. Um, I don't know how you're going to do animal rights in The Last Jedi. How you fit that to the plot?
Right.
Probably just don't do it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
really, like they butchered like Luke Skywalker's character. I mean, this is the guy that brought Darth Vader back.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And then he had a bad dream, and now he's in isolation. It's just like what? Yeah, and then killing off Snoke. It's like really,
Hmm.
why'd you do that?
I know. I know.
Um, the whole like rebellion thing, the whole like let's not tell any of our allies what we're doing so that they can do like like insubordination and
Yeah,
try to
yeah,
do a
yeah,
coup d'etat or a mutiny just because
yeah.
we don't tell them what our plan is. It's like, okay, really bad leadership now. Like the only fucking redeemable thing I think from that movie is the hyperspace jump.
It's so good.
It's so good.
As soon as I saw it
But
again, I was like, this jumps it up for me a little bit. That's so good.
but then it actually raises a problem. If you're doing hyperspace,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which actually is supposed to be within the lore, you jumping into another pocket dimension and
Yes.
then jumping back out. But anyway, in this it's just you fucking go really fast. If you go really fast and then another ship goes really fast at the same time, you could collide with them
Right.
like that. It creates then that problem of at any time you could crash with anything
Sure.
as
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
flying. Um, but yeah,
I know it's that thing
it's
of like,
visually is really cool,
yeah,
but
it's look at it's kind of that it's that Snyder thing or something where it's like, do you know what? I know that you could poke at all the logic in this, but it looks too fucking cool, so we're going to just ignore logic and we're going to go
yeah,
style and no substance.
yeah. Yeah, so it is
Yeah.
cool. So it's
Yeah.
fair enough. That is brownie points for it. But I just think overall, as the movie, it just takes a shit on what Force Awakens was establishing,
Hmm.
and it was just like, and it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary to take that to destroy everything that was established.
Yeah.
For me, that's why it's number 10. Sorry,
So
I went on a rant.
I don't disagree with you at all, and actually, for me, these are quite interchangeable. On rewatching them, however, I enjoyed The Last Jedi a little bit more.
Okay.
Little bit more. It's such a shame what happened to this trilogy
Mm,
because I think there was a lot of promise, and unfortunately, I do think it's the weakest Star Wars trilogy because, and I cannot believe the thing that shocks me every time I see any of these is I cannot believe personally how careless they were with such a precious franchise to
mm,
not plot out. And I don't mean beat for beat, dictating exactly what any director comes in has to do, but I cannot believe that they didn't come to an agreement of what should happen, so that there's a framework for a trilogy rather than just here's one. Now you do whatever you want. And then the third director do whatever you want. Well, actually, now we're shitting the bed a little bit, and we're going to take the script. No, actually, you know what? You're off the project. Let's bring back the first guy, and he's got to try tie everything together. I think, unfortunately, for me, the reason the Rise of Skywalker is that little bit lower is, and even though it's not all completely its fault, the movie is just a fucking mess, and
mm.
it does not work. It tries so hard to tie together. It tries so hard, like half the movie is undoing everything that The Last Jedi just did, and then also trying to rectify it. And unfortunately, I actually, even though I don't like the path that The Last Jedi went down, I personally would have doubled down on it. I think it was a bad idea to spend a movie arguing with the last movie.
Mm.
That you just end up with like Palpatine coming back somehow, which is the actual script. Is
Yes.
like in all the marketing, and you only ever heard his voice, and there was kind of the silhouette on the posters, and it was like everyone was like, "Wait, what? The Emperor is back? That's crazy!" And there's so many ways they could have done it. Maybe it's actually like an AI recording and he's not alive at all and you're waiting for that big reveal, maybe that's not good. Maybe somehow he was able to use the force in such a way to actually come back as the first ever dark side ghost and he's haunting the planet of Exegol. There's so many fantastical and sci-fi things they could have done other than just here's the start of the movie, he's in it, just deal with it. He's going to say he created Snoke just to clear that up because and he's in it because we want Kylo Ren to be redeemed, which I think is a bad idea.
That was a bad idea too, yeah.
Terrible idea. I actually think that it, like the one thing that I will give Ryan Johnson credit for is that we all expected Kylo's journey to be the same as Vader's journey, which is ultimately what J.J. Abrams ended up doing in the last one. And Ryan went against that, and I kind of do like that. I was kind of like, nobody saw it coming. Maybe they should have doubled down and made Kylo Ren. He's now an unhinged supreme leader, and he's too young and too angry to have the power that he has, and he's reckless. But now he's making like decisions that are affecting the galaxy, and he's reckless. So yeah, I think the Rise of Skywalker is a huge. And again, it's not all the fault of the movie. The other scenes that really stand out are, and this couldn't be helped either. It's just unfortunate. Carrie Fisher had passed away. All of the scenes in which they put Leia in, and I completely get that they're respecting the mythology, they're respecting the character, they want to give Leia a proper send-off and have that she was the master of Rey. None of them work because they all feel like characters are kind of talking to themselves, and the dialogue isn't always working in the scene because it's pre-recorded dialogue from different scenes that weren't used in The Last Jedi that they're trying their best to make work in this script. So all those scenes feel weird. Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker catching the lightsaber and saying a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. I agree. And I agree that would be his standpoint. But again, it stands out as just a fuck you, Rian Johnson. So, yeah, I don't know. I rewatched it and I did not enjoy it because it's just a mess to watch. And it's an unfortunate ending to the Skywalker saga. The Rise of Skywalker makes no sense as a title. Rey just taking that name at the end. Her doing the whole I am all of the Jedi as a I am Iron Man thing is cheesy. All the ships showing up with the Star Wars music to try and recreate the Endgame Portals thing, that does not feel earned. The ships that just come out of Exegol with no explanation. The only thing I will say that I really enjoyed about The Rise of Skywalker, apart from Ian McDiarmid's voice, is the audio effect of the lightning on Exegol is fucking amazing.
It's pretty good.
And it looks good. Pictures, or the quality, the sets, the costumes, they all look great. All that stuff is good. And yeah, it could have been, like the whole quest thing is kind of cool, but the movie's a mess.
Yeah.
So I think that takes us to number 9. And I feel like we might just be those the other way around. I could be wrong. Eric, what's your number 9 Star Wars movie?
Rise of Skywalker.
And mine is, of course, The Last Jedi. So this could have gone either way.
Right.
So now I want to hear your thoughts on The Rise of Skywalker.
Right. So Rise of Skywalker is 9 mainly because it was trying to come off what Rian Johnson did. Yes, could have doubled down on what he did. Also, Rian Johnson could have just done what was established. Really, the fault comes down to the producer who was in charge of the whole fucking thing and didn't do her job. I think there is news that she is now finally losing it because she has not been good as a producer over it.
Right.
But the reason then I put that at 9 is, well, because it kind of brought an end to the trilogy. It had some cool effects in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is hard to defend because it is a mess. But it's also like at least it's trying to finish what was first started. Now they could have the fact that they cloned Snoke meant they could have just brought Snoke back, but maybe that would have felt like another middle finger considering the amount of middle fingers that were given. Like the
I don't envy Abrams. He did not have an easy job.
I don't. Which is again another reason why I probably put it above The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Because everyone was coming in. Everyone, actors, art department, soundtrack, director, whatever it was, everyone was kind of coming in to go, okay, this is what we're doing now. We're gonna, like, yes, he could have followed what Rian Johnson did, but again, Rian Johnson should have just followed what was established.
Yeah,
not kill Snoke. I don't see the Kylo Ren redemption arc from the first movie.
No, I personally, I do think that's a weird turn in the final movie, which is again
and it
something that didn't work for me. And then them falling in love, I thought it was weird
was forced
and
as fuck.
Yeah, it didn't feel earned.
That felt like a fan service kind of thing.
It did a bit. It felt a bit Twilighty or something. But Yeah, I think it's very clear from the end of The Force Awakens that I thought they were really leaning in a direction of Kylo is going to be irredeemable.
Mm.
But maybe they wanted to do the whole no one is truly irredeemable, and
Well,
everyone
that's not
can
true
battle
because
their dark side. And Sidious
Sidious,
is pure evil. Yeah,
yeah, that's
he
not true.
is.
That if
We
you
would
give
hate for
into the,
him to be redeemed.
yeah, if the dark side does that, it corrupts you. It will take everything from you and leave only a hunger for more power. There's no like the further you fall into it, the
Nice.
more. Thank you very much. Um, but I just put Rise above like it's not that much above
Oh no,
Last. Like you know what I mean?
I
It's
agree.
it,
It can go either way.
like you said, they're very
They're very
interchangeable.
interchangeable. Yeah.
I could watch them again and go, actually, you know what? Last Jedi is better than Rise of Skywalker. It's just that the Rise, most of the issues from Rise is because of the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
That's why I think I put it above Last Jedi. It has a lot of issues. Um, I'm thinking about that tweet or something where someone went, "Did you know that all the inhabitants of Exegol were the ones to make up the First Order or the Final Order or something?" And then fucking Elijah would go, "No, how could we possibly know that?"
Yeah. 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 It's just it
It's
was
fucking
so.
it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just it because of the Last Jedi and what that established that then is why Rise gets a little higher. But I do actually hate one thing. I think the Force dyad is cool, that
Sure.
Force connection thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it sure as shit does not work in Rise
No.
because
No.
that's another area where you go, well, wait a minute. What? But then what? So that's a bit like the hyperspace thing, but at least with the hyperspace, you're like, it visually looks cool, so
Yeah.
I'll let it pass.
Also the Palpatine granddaughter thing is an awful twist. So one thing that's one area where I would have personally doubled down. I think even though we all really wondered who Rey's heritage was, I think the fact that, and it's the one thing where Ryan Johnson spent, so I got to go into why I like it a little bit more than The Rise of Skywalker, and
Hmm.
then why it's actually this low on the ranking though as well. Like I don't particularly, like I was so excited for The Last Jedi going in. I thought the
I know you
trailers
were.
were
I
awesome.
know you were.
The color red that they were using, I thought this is going to be dark as fuck. It's the middle chapter, let's go. It got off to a bad start with the whole let's do a joke where Poe Dameron's character is um pretending he can't hear hooks on a very marvelly kind of a interaction between the two of them. um and that's your like first major interaction in the movie, so that put a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, and I was like, oh, this is a bit weird, and then the rest of the movie
Kept going.
happens. So there's moments in this that I really like, and the one thing I do like is when Ryan Johnson decided to subvert expectations and have Kylo Ren reveal to Rey that your parents were actually nobody. They were just junkies who sold you for cash. I was like, I quite like that. We weren't expecting it. Everyone was thinking, oh, is she related to Obi-Wan? Is she related to someone? Um, Even there was already rumors back in the day that she was related to Palpatine, and I was like, no, that's fucking ridiculous. Who the fuck were Palpatine's children? Who the fuck had kids of Palpatine? So that whole thing just seems wrong. So I liked that. It's something that no one is expecting, and it just makes Rey her own character in this universe rather than a continuation of someone or whatever. Um, I think even though I don't like most of the decisions made in the film, in like I agree with Mark Hamill's um
Assessment?
reluctance to play this version of Luke,
Okay, yeah.
but he's very good in it. That's the other thing. Even though he doesn't want to do it, he is an excellent actor. All of his scenes, he's brilliant. Even if you're like, it doesn't feel like Luke and it doesn't feel respectful of the character and the heritage, but his performance as a broken Luke is brilliant. So
Hmm.
I enjoyed that. Um, and I really like the scenes where he is pointing out the flaws of the Jedi Order. I was like, I kind of, yeah, I just wish it dove deeper into, I don't think it went deep enough, actually. I think if he was really going to go, actually, let's examine the Jedi Order, will we? Let's see, like, let's have a look at the corruption of the Jedi Order and the problems that the Jedi Order created and all the, the fact that the Empire rose because of some of the actions of the Jedi Order. So I was like, that's kind of an interesting take on.
Yeah, he probably could have delved into that more
He could have.
if they didn't have this animal rights side project.
Yes, and this is where the movie gets unenjoyable, and also the very slow space chase to run out of fuel as the major plot of the movie. Um, the stakes don't feel high enough for, after this there's only going to be one more episode, so have we really, raised the stakes enough? And then another thing that I do like in the movie is I think the Yoda scene is brilliant. I think it's very, very good. When the ghost Yoda shows up to teach Luke
Hmm.
yet another lesson and the importance of learning from failure. I think that's a good lesson and a really cool Yoda moment. Um, and it's kind of nice to see the two of them together again. So yeah, look at there's scenes in it. I think it's a more coherent movie than The Rise of Skywalker
Hmm.
because it does have a vision. It's just that unfortunately, its vision involves derailing the trajectory of the Disney Star Wars trilogy. Um,
Do you
and yeah,
know
and my other problem is I think Ryan Johnson was doing subversion for subversion's sake. I like
yeah.
subversion, but I think just doing what people aren't expecting just for the shock of you're not expecting it, but with no real follow up as to why. So like killing Snoke because you're not expecting it, but never explaining Snoke leaves audience with a problem. In a mythology like this, or having Luke throw his father's lightsaber over his shoulder just because you're not expecting him to do that, but it not feeling like a
That doesn't feel like something that Luke would do.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's
yeah,
just again kind of like what you were saying with him with Poe talking to Hux, where it feels a bit marvelly. A lot of the things in this trilogy just feels like what would Marvel do?
yeah.
I was like,
It's got a little bit of that influence, right?
It's
Yeah,
okay for Marvel to do that because Marvel's established that since Iron Man 1.
that's its identity.
That's its identity. Star Wars has its identity since 1977.
Yeah,
Am I correct there? Yeah, so with A New Hope. So, you know, um, what was I gonna say? There was something I was gonna say. Do you remember? Do you ever hear the director Colin Trevorrow?
yeah. He was supposed to do part three. It was going to be called Jewel of the Fates.
Which is a
Um,
great
an
title.
amazing title. But yeah, I've heard different things about the script. I've heard some people say it was amazing. I've heard other people say it sounded awful. So I've heard conflicting
Yeah,
things.
no,
I
it's
don't
just
know.
because there was some things I heard sounded awesome, but then I suppose it's one of those things where it sounds awesome, but maybe it wasn't going to be executed awesome or something like that. But
I wasn't excited when they said he was going to be the director because I do not like Jurassic World.
oh, because that was my next question was what did he actually direct? Because I know his name
Yeah,
was familiar.
I think there's another director that we're going to bring up later, and I'm surprised they didn't give him the job.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Zack Snyder.
no. Okay, so I think we should move on because we've got a lot more
Fair
movies
enough.
to
Yeah,
talk
yeah, yeah.
about.
We have a lot more. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and we've now talked about our bottom three. They're all in the Disney era. It just they didn't work for us. But is the next one in the Disney era? Eric, what's your number 8 pick?
Attack of the Clones.
Do you know what? So is mine. There you go. Number 8, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Yeah, I've rewatched this and The Phantom Menace. I needed. It's been a minute. Some of the other my favorite ones I rewatch more. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't really need to revisit them as much. They're quite ingrained in me. But I was like, at a young age, I think I would have preferred Attack of the Clones. I think it was more exciting. It had, I think Jango Fett is fucking amazing
He's a
in
pretty
it.
cool guy.
Like, there's a reason it's higher than some of the ones we've mentioned before. It has a more coherent story. We start seeing the clones, so we're like, oh, that's what the Clone Wars was that they mentioned in the first ever movie. And
Hmm.
also, they're starting to look like stormtroopers, so we're starting to see we're
The
getting that
influence.
bit closer to when, like, we're getting closer to the rise of the Empire. Um, but this movie is the worst one of the prequels. I would say it's the weakest one. It's not as good as the ones we're going to mention later, and I
Hmm.
think the main reason is um the horrible execution of the love story between Anakin and Padme. He
I
comes off as incredibly creepy. The fact
I
that it's
I hate sand. It's coarse and rough and it gets everywhere.
some of the dialogue is awful. Poor Hayden, who is not a bad actor, is not done favors in this movie.
No.
I don't know if it's the way he was directed. I don't know if it's just the certain deliveries they decided to use. I don't know if it's down to the writing. Whatever it is, he does not come off well. And I think the big failing of this particular movie is that we should really like Anakin because we have this movie to like him as a hero and a Jedi Knight first.
Mm.
And in this one, he spends, and also to like his relationship with Obi-Wan before we know what's going to happen. He spends the whole movie giving out about Obi-Wan and how Obi-Wan is holding him back and Obi-Wan won't let him do trials. And I hate Obi-Wan. He's like a father to me, but I hate him. And it's just, it doesn't feel like they have a good relationship at all. I think from the point when his mother passes away onwards, his demeanor could have changed. So I feel like for the first half of the movie, he should have been a really likable, great Jedi.
Hmm.
And after his mother dies, for the rest of the movie, anger can start to come in more, and he could be quick and abrasive with people. And so I think there's a structuring problem in the way Anakin is portrayed in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, it's this trilogy now is a weird one in that you almost need more of the prequel trilogy to really establish maybe well, so back in the day actually I think it was fine. Maybe it's because we were young or we were just used to everything being done in trilogies. But yeah, it's like you see him as a kid and then all of a sudden he's this bratty teenager and then you get revenge. And his arc is very quick. It's a
Yeah,
very quick arc, but I think it's at its most stalemate in this movie. Which I think is kind of the issue with this movie is that it's a bit even though it sets up the clones and all that sort of stuff, right? Which is pushing you towards the Clone Wars mentioned in episode 4. There's a bit of a stalemate in this movie.
mm-hmm.
In that stuff is happening, but it also kind of feels like nothing's happening. Also very overly reliant on CGI, everything being CGI'd, which is
Which has
very
not, it has not aged well, unfortunately.
no, has not aged well at all.
It's done a lot for digital movie making,
Hmm,
but it has put it like it's timed it kind of, it's really aged
yeah,
it.
yeah. I think the only part, and I've always liked this part, maybe it's just the kid in me, that is probably the saving grace. Well, actually, except for the Anakin hunting down trying to find his mom, and that whole bit is
Amazing.
amazing. That's amazing. The
Amazing.
music
And
and everything is
his
great.
performance at that point is
Yeah,
amazing.
very good. Is the whole Colosseum section? I really like that.
It's fun. It's a fun
Fun one. All the
section.
Jedi's come out. Then it's not nice. It's cool.
That's the
Yeah,
thing. As a kid, this was so exciting. Seeing that many
yeah.
lightsabers on screen and all that stuff.
That
I
was
do
cool.
like, as I watch it, I'm brought back to that age. I
Mm.
also think this was just the era of cool Star Wars toys, Star Wars Lego, Star Wars
Yeah,
video
yeah.
games. The Clone Wars cartoon came out after. When I watched Attack of the Clones, I brought back to all of that. There's just the widening of the kind of prequel mythology. Was so
But it
fucking
does have
awesome.
issues in kind of its yeah. There's like something lacking in it, and I think it's just that it kind of feels like it's not really. It's not getting the best out of these characters that the movie should be getting. And that could be down to a direction writing thing. I don't know exactly what it would be, but it just feels like, yeah, as you stated, maybe Anakin should have been nice and kind and likable. Maybe a bit arrogant, but kind of in a tone like I know we said that Star Wars is his own thing, it's not Marvel, but that idea of he has an arrogance, but it's like a likable arrogance. But
Yeah,
once
like
because
he breaks
like
the rules, but they kind of like him for it. He's kind of
yeah, it's like
cheeky.
he gets results for it and stuff, and
Yeah,
then when something so precious is taken from him, to him it's the whole world is shattered, and
yeah,
now life doesn't seem fair, and then he kills the women, but not just the women, the children too.
yeah. Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying.
Thanks.
I think that the reason it's this much higher than in the other movies as well is I love the Obi-Wan detective thing.
The
I
Obi-Wan
think
detective thing is
the him
cool.
looking for the missing planet of Camino and following the saber dagger to find out where it came from, meeting the bounty hunter, wondering who's this guy, trailing him to this massive conspiracy. Like all of that is the chase in Coruscant with Zam Wesell and everything. Like it's all like, and
And
even
it's
like,
and it's
oh
a coherent story. It's like, oh, this seems like the next step to
yeah, and like the
the
assassination attempt on
yeah.
Padme at the beginning is an exciting way to start the movie and to launch a Jedi investigation into it, and like all that stuff is really really cool. But yeah, it's just some of the scripting, some of the structuring, um, and Anakin not being the hero that we need him to be first
Which now,
before the fall.
in fairness, the Gendy, I think it's pronounced Gendy Tartakovsky. That's the guy who did the original Clone Wars.
Oh sure, okay,
That Anakin is much more coherent with the Hayden Christensen Anakin
sure.
than the one established in the more famous Clone Wars. Because the more famous Clone Wars, he actually is likable.
He's really likable.
He's a really likable character. But then when you watch Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, you are a bit like, where's that Anakin? So the one in the Gendy Tartakovsky one is like, yeah, that's the whiny brat.
Hmm.
He's
Yeah.
a whiny brat in that show.
So let us know, guys, how you're feeling about the rankings so far. I'm going to say something controversial too. I have a bad feeling about this. This is not going to go down well. I like Jango Fett more than Boba Fett.
You big bastard.
I do. That's why I like this movie a lot. I think Jango Fett is so fucking cool.
Did you ever hear the story of Ewan McGregor giving the kid that plays Boba Fett advice? Because
No.
he was supposed to be all like suspicious of Obi-Wan, but he obviously just wasn't given the right kind of reaction.
Yeah.
And Ewan McGregor then just went, look, he's just when the door opens, just pretend I let off a really bad fart.
Oh my God, his face is perfect for that.
And that's the take that they did.
Amazing. Okay, we're on to number 7.
Seven.
Eric, what did you put at spot number 7?
Force Awakens.
Interesting. I put The Phantom Menace.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But yeah, so again, I won't talk about The Force Awakens yet. I'll hear you first, and then us.
Force Awakens is very good, but it is A New Hope. Hence why it goes down the list.
Okay.
That's really kind of it. It is a very good, coherent story. Very interesting characters, very good establishment, but also you pretty much get that story from um from A New Hope anyway. So which is yeah, that's a pretty all right movie as well. So
That might
therefore
come up later.
that we might mention it. So therefore, A Force Awakens just goes down the list that far because we've seen it. So
Hmm.
while it is well made, it is not necessarily breaking new ground.
Hmm. A little too safe, maybe.
A little too safe, and then The Last Jedi was a little too dangerous, and then
It's like I don't know
and
what I want.
and then the other one was just a little too broken. The Rise was just a little too broken. That's
There you go. That's the
yeah,
Disney trilogy.
that's the Disney trilogy.
So for me, The Phantom Menace, I think, is a good, strong opening to the prequel trilogy. Look at we were kids when this came out, so we don't have the same sentiments that some people would have towards this movie. Um, it was made for us. Like I was younger than the actor playing Anakin when I saw this movie.
Mm.
So I was able to look up to him and be like, "Oh, cool! Like I could be the kid who's doing the pod racing and it goes up to space and blows up the thing." It's only when you get older than him you kind of feel, "Ah, what this little brat," you know what I mean? And now that I'm older again, though, now I'm just like, man, that kid, he did a great job. He's a very sweet kid. He's very charming. He does everything he's directed to do as well as he can. I think he was given a horrible time. He left the acting
Mm.
industry because he was bullied.
Yeah.
Not unlike the other child-friendly character in the movie, Jar Jar Binks, who I keep forgetting the name of the actor who plays him. My apologies.
For some reason, the name Riz Ahmed is coming into my name. I could be completely wrong. Give me
Yeah,
1 second.
you are wrong. I
Thanks.
think Ahmed is right. I don't think Riz is.
Skibidi
Skibbity Riz. I think his name is Skibbity Riz.
Are you saying he's not a? It's not a Ahmed Best.
Ahmed
I was
Best.
close.
He was the voice director for South of Midnight, the game as well that came out this year.
Nice.
But he like I was rewatching it and I was like you have to as well put it like this. The Father Menace is actually aged really well. It looks
Yeah.
brilliant. Like it looks because they have a mixture of the CGI, which is very new at the time. Like this is
Hmm.
1999. He's the first ever fully mo-capped main character in a movie,
Hmm.
and he looks great. People might not like the way he talks, or maybe he talks too much in the movie, but he's entertaining for young kids or whatever. I'm not saying like look at I'm happy enough. Jar Jar Binks takes a step back after this movie. I think one was enough really, and he has much less of a role in the prequels after that. Um, but I don't think he makes the movie so bad that it's just you hate it. There's a good plot. Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn is fantastic.
Hmm.
He's one of the most interesting Jedi's in, and he actually is quite gets the job done and breaks the rules, kind of a thing. Like
Yeah,
he
he's. I think
defy the
he would be.
council and
He'd be classified as a grey Jedi if we really want to get into the old
yes,
legends lore and
I love
everything
it.
that was established
I
before
love it.
Disney went. We're gonna scrap all that. And it's like, don't do that. Don't scrap that. That shit's cool.
But yeah, they also use miniatures and real sets. All the costumes
Hmm.
are great. It establishes a whole new era that maybe doesn't look like original Star Wars, but like one thing I will say about George Lucas, he might not be the best writer or the best director, but he is a serious visionary. And he does not care what you want. He makes what he wants to see. And I
Hmm.
think that could be really admired in terms of adding mythology and stuff. It kind of reminds me in the video game industry of Hideo Kojima, who very much does whatever the fuck he wants, whether you want it or not. Um, and is pushing technology forward and is pushing storytelling forward in different ways. And then look at I think the plot works really well. The whole Trade Federation thing, starving the planet of Naboo, and them struggling then to get a peace treaty. And in the background, you could see Palpatine pulling the strings and getting himself into Supreme Chancellor and making it look like it was everyone's choice. It's it's very clever the way it's done. Um, and Darth Maul is so fucking cool. I still get goosebumps when Duel of the Fates starts. The doors open. He shows the double lightsaber for the first time. Blew my mind as a kid. And that lightsaber fight, the entire choreography, is one of the best in the whole series. Particularly after Qui-Gon dies and when Obi-Wan goes 90 at him. It's incredible.
You're
It's
saying a lot of things you
amazing
like about this,
choreography.
but why is it? Why is it where it is, Chris? You're saying a lot of stuff that you're loving about this, but
Yeah.
you're not really saying why it's where it is.
I
Because that
think
it's even
yeah.
below the halfway point, like.
Yeah. So it's where it is because it's better. I prefer it to everything that's been mentioned already, but I
I
don't like
would
it as much as what's to come. That's the
Oh,
only that's really it. The other thing I suppose is it has a main character problem.
as in there kind of isn't
Who
one.
is the main character?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's kind of Qui-Gon. He takes the lead in the whole movie, but he's also the one that dies. So, and then it's like, oh well, it's Anakin because this is Anakin's story. But Anakin comes in much later, and it's we're not really following his perspective. He's more like a MacGuffin in this story. They
Hmm.
find him, you know what I mean? And then he turns it. Then there's the whole mystery of the prophecy and the chosen one and all this. So then you're like, well, maybe Obi-Wan should be the main character because he's the one that's going to be training, and he's barely in the movie. Actually, he spends a lot of time on a ship. They don't let him spend enough time with Anakin. And you're like, okay, maybe Padme is the main character. It's a bit weird that they got Natalie Portman to play like a 14-year-old. They're trying to set up a romantic relationship between her and Anakin, and it's that bit's weird. That does not work for me at all. Um, and I wish Naboo was Alderaan.
Would be nice, wouldn't it?
I think it would have been nice to see Alderaan, and I think it would make a lot of sense later for how Leia ends up on Alderaan.
But then again, also it's a bit weird if Darth Vader was never to like, go back to the place of like, his loved one
Why
and
would
then
he?
not.
Maybe he'd be like, I never want to go anywhere that reminds me of her because of, and we'll talk about that later. Like it could have
Yeah,
been you know what I mean?
no, here's the thing. This is actually a gripe I have with Star Wars in general. It's
Sure.
like a little thing. They do have a planet problem of constantly going, all right, we need a planet with trees. And now Alderaan has a planet with trees, or Naboo has a planet with trees, or the forest moon of Endor. And that's one thing I actually kind of like about Rise is that at least they go back, at least they go to Endor, right? But other than that, they always go, right, let's make a new planet. We need a desert planet that's full of slavers and scum and villainy. Well, there's Tatooine. No, that's ridiculous. Here's Jakku.
Another one.
Yeah, here's a different one. Here's Jakku. And then when you get to Last Jedi, here's another one. I was like, what is wrong with you? They're entire planets. They're like, But anyway,
Let's get to number 6.
Phantom.
Phantom Menace for you? Force Awakens for me. So they're not far off each other.
Nope.
Okay, your turn to gush about the Phantom Menace and why it's where it is
All
on
the
the
reasons
list.
you said. That's why I was kind of asking, why do you have it lower, like as low
Sure.
as it is? Because it's for all the reasons you said. The CGI is really good, but it's a nice blend with the sets. The droids actually in it are not the oh, what was that? Well, like they're actually not comedic at all. They're really serious, yes, there's a bit of a monotone to them,
They're
but
straight
that's
to the
because
point, though.
they're straight to the point. They're a droid. They're programmed to do something. They do that. Jewel of the Fates. Come on, fucking Jewel of the Fates. It's
Some
fucking
of John Williams' best work.
that is like fucking incredible to hear, and the fights are awesome. It's nice to look at this like the height of the Republic, where all the ships have this sleek, nice design before everything has to almost be this junkware slapped together. During the reign of the Empire. Actually, that's one thing about the Solo movie. Sorry, just going back to the Solo movie. The very first line in it, right, of text, it is a lawless time, and I was like, the Empire, lawless? Like, surely that was the thing that they cramped
Yeah.
down on the most, was making sure everyone was as subservient and law-abiding as
Clearly,
possible.
clearly he meant where we're starting is a lawless planet, as opposed to
Yeah,
it is a lawless time in the galaxy. It's
yeah,
actually a very strict, horrible, under regime time in the galaxy. Anyway,
probably the most lawful time they had, but it was awful. But anyway, yeah. So this at least is the height of the Republic and everyone. You have all this new technology of like the sleek designs. I like the design of Naboo, the Trade Federation thingy. Yes, starving it out. Such a real thing, you know? It's such a real thing. Essentially, they probably were two steps away from implementing tariffs. You know what I mean? Like it's a thing of just like that happened and that is happening and that probably will still happen. So we can connect as human people, as humans, we can connect to that story. But it's like it's works again within Star Wars. Star Wars very much always has a commentary on big political things that can affect everyone, not just the droids and not just the animals, but can affect a lot of people. And the corruption and the idea of people with too much power abusing that's when you have the Trade Federation. And yeah, the idea that Darth Sidious is pulling the strings because the Trade Federation would never pull something so
yeah.
risky
And they
as
actually,
well.
like, I kind of forgot. As a kid, I was just like, yeah, they're the bad guys. But in rewatching it, I was actually really surprised with them going, this is going too far and all
Yeah,
this. And they're going, is an invasion legal? And Sidious
yeah,
being like, I'll make it legal. They've been coerced and tricked into this war. Like, this was
yeah.
not their idea at all, which is why they joined the separatist movement after. Because they're like, this fucking Sidious guy set us up.
Yeah, they had no choice. Like they really had no choice but to be part of the Separatist army.
And I mean, once Darth Maul showed up, I suppose they were just afraid to do anything against him because he would have
Yeah,
killed them. And yeah,
yeah, absolutely. So I think that's all really interesting. Of then
yeah.
painting the villains as that. Obviously, as kids, yeah, you are just like they're villains. But as when you're an adult, you're like, oh, there's depth. There's depth to these people. They're now not as evil as we think they
Hmm.
are. Yeah, yeah, just everything you said, and
Hmm.
then plus the other things I said. That's why that's higher than Awakens.
And just lower than anything else because you enjoy the others more, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah. So Force Awakens gets this spot for me. I do like it more than the Phantom Menace in that, and I agree with you on. So the reason it's this low in the list is I agree with those criticisms that people have about it retreading old ground, doing A New Hope again. In particular, the whole "let's blow up Star killer base by hitting one spot. That is a really, it doesn't sit well with me. I don't mind so much the whole map to Luke Skywalker hidden in the droid thing. That part doesn't bother me because I'm like, it's not the exact same thing. And, the whole, there's, as George Lucas would call it, it's poetry, it rhymes. The whole thing of like characters getting their hands chopped off because it reminds you of what happened before. It's like history repeating itself within the Star Wars universe. So the droid being the MacGuffin thing, I don't mind. And I think looking for Luke Skywalker, such a cool plot for that movie. And then whatever happens, happens. But the whole final thing with Starkiller Base is where I kind of go, and now you've gone too far into A New Hope territory.
Yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? That like it starts off with the plot is find Luke Skywalker.
And then it gets a bit sidetracked.
That gets very sidelined until the end when R2D2 conveniently wakes up and goes, oh, by the way, here's the missing piece.
But the thing I like is I think this is a really good first entry in what could have been a very good,
well, that's why
not amazing, but a very good trilogy. I think I like all the new characters that they introduce. How do you make a droid that is actually as charming as R2D2, but also its own character? BB-8 is one of the best entries that they put into this new series.
Oh yeah, it was a very, very good entry, yeah.
And I love, in this movie in particular, Kylo Ren.
I know. You have a soft spot for those Hopi boys, don't you?
I really like Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens, and the thing I like about him is I think it's very clear on screen in everything that they wrote and in how he's performed. There's a bit of a meta thing going on where they know they cannot top Vader. Can't be done. And they have this character who knows that he can't top Vader. And that's his whole driving force, is that he's living in Vader's shadow. I love that he wears a mask and doesn't even need it because he's ashamed of who he is. I love that his lightsaber, people might call it silly and they're obviously going for like a Crusader Knight type thing. But I love that they achieved that design by having the little vents, that it's unstable and broken because he never completed his training. He's actually completely reckless. It doesn't have the white light in the middle. It's jagged because it's really not finished. It's not a finished lightsaber. It's actually a disaster of a thing. I like the way in which he uses the Force in the movie. Like when he first stopped that laser, it was like, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. New Force ability.
I love when he uses the Force to drag someone to his hand to choke them because he can't Force choke. That scene to me is so cool. So I just love everything about Kylo Ren in that movie, and I think it's a shame that they had such an interesting villain that they didn't really follow through on. I think the death scene of Han Solo is handled incredibly well. I think him being Ben Solo is a cool twist. And I like the chemistry between Finn and Rey. I like the script, the pacing of the movie. I think is paced really well. The scene where Finn turns and the blood hand is on him and he looks around at all the shit that's going on around him.
Yeah, but
all of that is great.
The laser beam.
Don't tell me the whole cauterize the wound thing.
It cauterizes the wound. There's no blood because it's a laser.
That's
how Star Wars can get away with shooting people and there not being any blood and do the lightsaber thingy.
Sure, I hear what people are saying. I know that scientifically that is true. However,
but it looks cool.
Not just that, lore-wise, the first time we really see anyone get attacked with a lightsaber in all of Star Wars happened in A New Hope. Obi-Wan cut a guy's arm off and there was blood everywhere. So if we're going to criticize The Force Awakens for doing it, we have to go right back to the source. If it looks good and dramatic, it's cool. Plus, it's just just blood on the guy's hand. Who's to say that's from a shot?
My God.
I mean, he just cut his hand when he fell over or something. I don't fucking know. It's just cool to see blood.
It's like a weirdo. Yeah, give me more blood. Look at the blood.
It's just, it highlighted the horror of war in that moment. And I thought that was really strong, powerful visual.
I think the standout actually for Awakens is Hux' speech. No, Hux? Yeah, it is Hux, isn't it?
His speech is amazing. And he's a character that they also ruined in that trilogy.
They bastardized his, but I just think Phantom has Duel of Fates.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the score in the prequels is so much stronger. And as well, Snoke was a really scary, intimidating new villain in Force
I
Awakens.
actually kind
So
of
mysterious.
first time I saw him, I thought, Jesus, he's big.
I
I thought
thought
he was
I thought he was actually that big, and I was like, this is fucking crazy.
like
Um,
he's literally
and I didn't mind.
immense.
I didn't mind it.
Oh,
I was like, okay, cool. Maybe he's a giant alien race with the Force. That's fucked up. But yeah, so that's where the Force Awakens is for me, and Phantom Menace for you. But now we're on to the top five. Eric, what's your number five?
Return of the Jedi.
Oh my god. Okay, my number five is what I think is the best of the Disney Star Wars movies, and that is Rogue One.
Oh, interesting, interesting, interesting.
I'll go first because I think people will be more surprised by yours.
Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
So I think Rogue One is from here on. I like them all, by the way. Well, except I don't like Solo, and I don't really like Rise or Jedi. But the rest of them I really like. But obviously, you're gonna like some more than others. I think Rogue One is amazing movie. I think when I saw Force Awakens and then I saw this, I was like, oh man, Disney, get it. These
Mm,
movies are going to be amazing. And then unfortunately, the rest let the whole thing down. I'm surprised. This is the director. I'm surprised they didn't let finish the Skywalker saga because he
right, because it was so
directs the shit out of Rogue One. It is so good, and it is
mm,
a movie that you're like, I don't think we need it, and then you watch it, you go, this one does justify its existence. It gives us a new look at the rebels. Some of them doing like dark black ops and shit.
mm.
So like the whole scene where Andor says, "We have all done terrible things for the rebellion." That's like, wait, I just saw it as black and white when I was younger. Rebels are good, Empire's bad, and now it's like, oh shit, maybe it's not as black and white. It's a war movie. The final set piece is amazing on Scarif.
Gareth, yeah.
The fact that it's a Dirty Dozen style movie, and because there isn't going to be a follow up, they could do what they like with the characters, and they fucking do. They make them all likable, but then they also kill them all off. I think the introduction of Jeddah as a new planet is awesome. There's obviously some weird CGI deepfake and stuff with Peter Cushing's character. On the one hand, you're like, I'm really happy he's in it. I think it'd be weird to do a movie about the Death Star without Tarkin. He kind of
Mm.
has to be. He's too pivotal for that particular base. But I think it's also okay to get an actor to just play the role. Like we understand sometimes you have to recast an actor. Like he's long dead. He was amazing,
Mm.
but maybe with makeup and stuff, the right actor could play him. And we would just understand that's who he's playing. So that CGI hasn't aged well, I don't think. But man, that Vader hallway sequence
So fucking good.
is so good and really highlights how scary Vader would be to he's scary anyway, but to regular Joes who don't
Mm.
stand a chance. That first breathing and then the lightsaber down the hall, it's so powerful. But as well, I think the director highlighted that you can make a movie in the Star Wars universe that isn't totally centered around the Force and Jedi's and Sith. And it can be a really just good standalone strong movie in its own right.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't have much more to say other than I think it's a brilliant movie, well paced, well written, absolutely loved it. Only thing I don't particularly like about it is the weird CGI that I don't think has aged well, and the music score I don't like.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So you had Return of the Jedi at number five. Okay.
Return of the Jedi, which
Okay.
definitely
See
definitely is a movie I love. I think I used to have that as my favorite one as a kid.
Mm,
As I got older, though, as you can tell, it's now number five. Um, it is probably the area where it starts to go, oh, we need to sell toys of this.
sure.
I think is what lets Return of the Jedi down because it is a really good fucking movie, and the whole idea of Luke, uh, redeeming Vader is so good, and that fight scene, it's not heroic, it's horrible, it's harrowing, it's dark. the whole Death Star was a trap to take out the whole rebellion. Like everything about it is so good, but then it's solved by Ewoks. I think kind of lets it down
Mm,
a bit, which is probably what puts it at number five for me.
hmm
Um, but again, even at that, I think all the five I have are all very close together.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I mean when we're
yeah,
talking about some of our favorite movies ever, like we're getting
yeah,
there, you know.
yeah. It's they're really close together. Really, it's that scene. It's that end scene of Luke going to Vader. And the point when he's fighting him, and then he starts hacking down at him, and he's fucking screaming, and he cuts off the hand, and then he sees the electricity, and then he looks at his hand, and he has this moment of like, if I go any further, I'll just become him. So I have to turn back from Sidious. I have to say no to the Emperor.
Even if it means me dying,
Yeah,
because
and
he's just
then
taking the electricity. He's not even like, well, there's not much he can do at that point,
no,
but
not really. But that was the first time we got like lightning as a force ability. Wait, what? They can shoot lightning from their hands? That was so fucking cool.
yeah,
All right, and even I actually like the design of the Death Star.
that it's not
I know
quite finished.
it's not quite finished. It makes it have that iconic look, and it makes sense that the Empire would want to remake that weapon.
The ultimate weapon that they spent so much time
Right, it makes
preparing and
sense.
creating, and yeah.
It makes sense for them to want to do that because, if you lose a nuke, you're probably going to build another nuke. It makes sense to do that. But that's pretty cool. But I think it is just kind of the Ewoks and the many Bothans died to get us this information. It's kind of like,
It's
ha,
so funny.
it's very funny.
When are we getting the sequel to Rogue One called Many Bothans?
You can't, I can't hear that line now without thinking of Dara Breen's skit on it.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Yeah.
which was a comedian for anyone who doesn't know. Dara Breen's a comedian. But it's really good. It's just kind of some of the slightly more childish things lets it down. But
hmm
I think the performances are really strong and great. And that music, it's that fucking scene that does it for me. Also, I think the whole start sequence going to Jabba,
Mm,
which I think is the first time we actually, before there was like the remastered version of
yeah.
A New Hope, was the first time we ever saw Jabba falling down. Also, the first time we see Luke doing the choking. So we're like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Falls
yeah.
down. The Rancor comes around. The
Oh,
whole fucking like escape from the Sarlacc pit and everything, and the music, and
I love it.
it's so yeah. It's
I'm
a
gonna go
re
rewatch it right now.
it's a
I love
really
it.
good fucking movie, and then it kind of just has this little middle section that slightly slows it down and lets it down a bit, but
Sure.
it's still a really fucking. Taking into account, everybody, that actually so far we have not mentioned. This is the first time any of the original trilogy is getting mentioned.
Yes. And actually, just before we move on from this one, because it was, yeah, Rogue One was my number five. The other thing I liked about Rogue One, which I'm
Mm,
sure you'll probably like as well when you get there, is I actually like that they because one of the things you could always slag off the original Star Wars for was, oh, what, you shoot one thing and it blows up. It became the spoof for a long time about the whole, you shoot into one hole and it blows up the whole thing. The
oh
whole
yeah.
thing goes up. That's the way you said it. The whole thing. But I like that Rogue One actually finds a way to justify why that's a thing.
Mm,
And so it adds to the mythology in a way where it's like, now it's plausible that someone actually put a design flaw to sabotage the
the Death
Empire
Star.
from within.
Yeah.
And they need to just get that information out. And it's pivotal. That is such a clever way of going, okay, people have made fun of this for years. What if we found a way to justify it, though?
Mm.
And it's based on an
It,
emotional relationship between a father and a daughter as well. That really works really well.
yeah.
But now we're getting into number four.
Number four.
Eric, what is your number four?
I probably could get really crucified with this. Revenge of the Sith.
Eric, my number four is also Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, really?
I don't think we're going to get crucified for this. I think that's a good place to have it. It's quite high. It is the best of the prequels.
Definitely the best of the prequels.
It's celebrating 20 years now. It fixes some of the problems that Attack of the Clones, like it actually does. You know the way Rise of Skywalker tried to fix Last Jedi, and as a result, it's just a fucking mess.
Mm.
This one actually does fix some of the issues from Attack of the Clones in that at the start, Anakin and Obi-Wan have a really good relationship.
Mm.
Anakin is like a hero. He's quite likable. He's like a pure good guy from the start, doing wise things, but then has a little moment, and then shit keeps happening, and then he spirals. Now his turn to like immediate evil is a little bit sudden.
It's very sudden, especially the fact that he like goes, I'm just gonna slice up these fucking
Slice
younglings.
but also, you'll notice a common trend. You know, the
He likes to kill children.
no, and the women too. No, you'll notice a common trend from listening to our rankings so far. The hyperspace thing didn't make sense, but it looked cool. The blood from the stormtrooper doesn't make sense, but it looked cool. Anakin going in and killing children because he thinks the Jedi Council are corrupt doesn't make sense, but it looks cool. When he ignites that lightsaber, you're just like, oh, fuck.
See, yeah, it's really cool, but it is that and his quick change that probably puts Revenge at number 4 for me
Sure.
because it's so quick. It's like, oh,
Yeah, it's because
what have I done?
they do.
You shall now be known as Darth Vader. Okay, whatever you say, dude.
Whatever you say, what do you want? They do kind of a good job slowly leading up, I think.
Yeah,
And then suddenly it's a bit too sudden. And it's like, oh man, you were doing quite well on the pacing, and then you just got impatient and just like, oh fuck it, he's evil now. And like it was kind of like, take your time, man, you're doing well. But otherwise, and I think the only other thing I don't like about this movie is that again, some of the over reliance on CGI has aged, where
yeah.
a very green screen set behind them and stuff. However, Revenge of the Sith has the best music score of the entire saga.
It's pretty fucking good.
It's John Williams doing his fucking best work, because not only is he reprising the theme, the amazing Star Wars themes he's written before, and he reprises some of the ones from the prequels like Duel of the Fates. He puts in a brand new one, Battle of the Heroes, which is fucking incredible. And the really sad piece of music when Order 66 is initiated. Some of the really sad, the incredibly somber piece of music when Anakin is crying as he's debating what to do, while Padme is in her apartment struggling. And it's so well, that bit is so well shot. Their relationship is way better in this movie. The fight choreography is incredible. And that fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan is not only an amazing piece of choreography, but it's so emotional with the music, the setting of hell around them. Anakin not having a red lightsaber, but doing all these things with a blue lightsaber feels so wrong that it's the perfect decision. It's like it's innocence being destroyed, really, because the blue represents good, and now it's doing all these horrible things. That shot when he turns in the amber eyes, oh
with a
my
tear,
God, with
amber
a
eyes
tear,
and a
because
tear.
it's all affecting him.
It's affecting him, but he can't stop it because the dark side is taking over. As I said,
Yeah,
at the start of the podcast, once the dark side takes over, that's it.
it seeps in, man. You can come back, obviously. That's the whole point of Star Wars, really, because when you get to the original trilogy, it's Vader's arc back to good because of the love for his son. But it takes love to overcome hate, and that's the thing, you know. And this is a point where, but what's interesting about Anakin's turn is it's love that turns him to this point of pure hatred and suffering, the fear of losing the thing he loves, and then he does it. Oh my God, it's so good. This movie means a lot to me. Myself and Danny, my best friend, when we were younger, we used to reenact
Hey, fuck you.
Anakin and Obi-Wan. We used to reenact the Anakin and Obi-Wan dialogue and fight like 100 times in the schoolyard. We loved it. We knew it off by heart. It's amazing. Yeah, I don't know if I have much more to add, actually. And Ian McDiarmid is amazing in it. Every scene with Palpatine is 10 out of 10. He's
Very
so good. Have you heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? So good. So good. Sorry. Have we gushed too much about Revenge of the Sith? Do we need to move on?
No, not enough, not enough.
Do you have more to say? Do you want me to say more? I feel like I gushed a lot.
there was something I was definitely going to say, and I can't really remember what it was going to be because you were gushing a lot.
Sorry.
No, it's great. It's so uncivilized. Uh,
uh, actually, Obi-Wan is great in this as well.
Obi-Wan is very good in it.
Ewan nails it. He starts looking even more and more like Alec Guinness.
Yeah, it even has a great opening. The whole battle over Coruscant is fucking brilliant opening.
And the drums that are playing there, and the
Mm.
whole Palpatine tied to the chair, but when Anakin's fighting Dooku, amazing choreography again. It's mirroring the whole Luke Vader fight, and the attempt to turn you to the dark side is you need to kill the apprentice to take his place.
Mm.
Anakin doesn't even know he's doing it, but he has been lured into that trap. Like,
Yeah, Sidious is very. That was a ballsy fucking trap he laid.
I know
He could
everyone
have died.
he could have. I know everyone thinks of Vader because he's more iconic, but Sidious has to be one of the best movie villains ever.
Yeah, he just doesn't. He does a lot, but it kind of doesn't really seem like he does a lot. But it's just he's really good at manipulation.
Yeah,
Almost
he's great.
maybe he has a force. I don't know. I don't know if this is in any way a lore or a theory, but maybe he actually has like a force. He's powerful enough with the force that he's able to actually manipulate your mind without you realize.
He's so powerful with the Force. Sure, he clouds the entire Jedi Council's
Oh
vision.
yeah, so they can't
He's
see.
he's incredibly powerful.
He's pretty nuts. The Order 66 is a great moment.
So amazing. And also, seeing Kashyyyk was really cool.
Yes.
Starting to see the, I think as well, starting to see it's getting that bit closer to the original saga. Bail Organa playing a role, like when he's on the ship at the end and it's all the white interiors. You're like,
Mm.
oh, we're getting there, man. We're getting to the some of the questions start getting answered. Like wipe C-3PO's memory. It's a quick scene, but it's like that's why he doesn't fucking recognize anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like he was created by Vader. What the fuck? It's so fucking good. I love Revenge of the Sith.
It's a pretty good movie. Do you want to go see that one as well?
I would love to go see it in the cinema again. I hope
I know, I just meant
it's.
in general, because you know you're saying you might watch Return of the Jedi
I'm
again.
gonna watch all of these again. I love them. But I think we're getting into the top three now.
Okay, top three. Okay. There was
Eric.
definitely something I wanted to say about Revenge.
Oh,
But I
sorry.
can't remember.
Keep going if you want.
No. I can't remember, so we have to keep going. It might come back to me.
Okay. All right. We're in the top three. Eric, what's your number three?
Rogue One.
Hey, that's pretty high. That's high praise.
High praise.
This is interesting because we kind of mirror each other at different points then. So I'm a bit boring and a bit basic, a bit predictable. The original trilogy are my top three. Um, and of those, people could probably guess, but Return of the Jedi gets my number three spot. I'd love to hear why Rogue One is so high for you, though.
Right. It's very simple. Fucking Vader. It I mean, for ages I was like, I would love to see a Jedi kick ass. Because most of the time when we see Jedis, it's the one-on-one slow fights that you get in the original trilogy.
Mhm.
It's the big fanciful fights, or it's the very half-arsed fights of the sequel trilogy. But it's still always a lightsaber versus lightsaber. It's rarely anything quite like what Vader does.
Mhm.
So I really wanted something like that, and then Rogue One gave it to me, and that was a fucking incredible ending.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Scarif, and I think the whole. I'm actually going to be working backwards through this movie. The was it Jeddah? Was it Jeddah or Scarif? No, Scarif, I think. Where the Death Star eclipses the sun.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's such a beautiful fucking shot. But I love that, like, with A New Hope, and because of A New Hope, in turn with Return of the Jedi, you know the power of the Death Star. You know it's capable of destroying a planet.
Yes.
And then somehow they still put you in awe of the power of the Death Star, even though they're not destroying a planet, but you're just like, holy fuck, at the whole Jeddah sequence of
Amazing.
just bombing that. And
Yeah.
like you said, like they told a story without it being like everyone's related to Skywalker, and
Yeah.
it's not about people in tune with the Force. Well, you do have Donnie Yen's character, but he's not a Jedi. You know what I mean? And that no one in it is a Jedi. The only lightsaber person we have is Vader at the very end, which is, again, as I stated, fucking incredible and something I've always wanted. And you have these characters. You have a different side to the rebellion, as you stated. It's pretty much all the reason you're saying, right? But then it has its really good special effects, and it has the whole Battle of Scarif and the ATS, the AT-ATs, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
ADSTs are the two Walkmans, AT-ATs, and they look massive, and you're like, holy fuck! And
yeah,
it's
and it
just this,
feels like Normandy D-Day landings, and the rebels come in from the beach and everything.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
I know I was giving out about like desert planets and oh, why don't you just use Tatooine's big planet? But like with
Jeddah feels different.
Jeddah feels different because
Yep.
it has the giant Jedi statues, and then its name is Jeddah, which then you can kind of put two and two together to go, is this where the Jedi were born and stuff? So it has this mythology around it just in its name and art design of architecture.
Hmm.
And then the reason the Empire are there for the Kyber crystals, and they use the Kyber crystals to power the Death Star. And as you said, Galen Erso putting in that flaw. And that entire scene as well in the rain, like it's such a fucking brilliant movie. It feels so like in line with what we need from Star Wars. We don't need a rehash and a repeat of everything. We don't need all these other characters coming back. You can tell a really good Star Wars story with new characters. You don't need there to always be lightsabers. You don't always need there to be. And in fairness, at this point now, I'm very much wanting them, and I think I've said this to you multiple times before. I really want them now to get to a point where they can tell stories without the Empire or without the Clone Wars.
Well, that's actually one thing that's exciting about the future. I don't know if you saw, but at Star Wars Celebration recently, Sean Levi is directing a movie in the future. Like he's working on it.
Cool, nice.
It called Star Wars Starfighter, starring Ryan Gosling, and it's
Okay,
set. Maybe I can't remember what he said. I think it's a couple of 100 years after the Rise of Skywalker, so it's a whole new era of Star Wars. And the reason they did it is because they were like, we want to make a Star Wars movie, but we want to do something new.
goddamn bastards are probably taking my idea. I'm
Great
fucking
idea.
listening on us, Chris.
They're listening. They're listening. But yeah. So and look at, I think as well. You mentioned a really good scene where they're on the rainy planet, and Cassian Andor's secret orders are to eliminate her father. There's a
Yeah.
lot of tension in that scene. It's so good, so good.
Yeah, and I think as well, like Mads Mikkelsen, great performance, and
Always.
so does
Ben Mendelsohn.
Thank you very much. I
Yep.
have apologized for forgetting his name, but Ben Mendelsohn, I think, does a really good performance. Even his wanting to rise through the ranks and not see like to him, he's not
Getting the
being
credit he
recognized. He's
deserves. Yeah.
getting the credit, so he gets almost more like ambitious, which makes him stupid, and then he makes a flaw, which ends up being his downfall. But
Yeah.
he's like getting frustrated. Obviously, I don't like the pun from Darth Vader
No,
on Mustafar,
but
but it's still
what a
that thing
cool
of
shot on Mustafar though.
what a cool shot of
Just seen the
Mustafar.
fortress now, and yeah, it's just a fucking amazing movie.
It's a great movie. It's why it's number three because it's Star Wars. It's the original trilogy, but it's also something new and exciting, and just giving a whole new level of power to the Death Star. Even though we already know it's really powerful, but it's like just wow.
Jyn Erso is also a great lead.
She's a cool character. Yeah,
Uh,
she should get acting more. She's very good.
she's amazing. Was that Felicity Jones? Yeah, she's great. So yeah, my number three was Return of the Jedi.
Mm.
So it's funny that we had them ranked the same, but
Yeah.
in different places. But yeah, so when I was younger, Return of the Jedi was my favorite Star Wars movie. And obviously it still has a very special place in my heart. I think I agree with everything you said. I think the entire Jabba Palace sequence is amazing. Some of the best Star Wars shit is them slowly but surely infiltrating Jabba's palace. Jabba has done amazingly with the model work and prosthetics there. The Rancor is such a cool creature, and having him like a Bond villain that has a trap door that sends you to his big monster is so cool. The first time we see a green lightsaber and the way it's done, like the whole them nodding at each other scene. I can't
Yeah,
help but take a Family Guy now, but as soon as the music cues it and R2 launches the lightsaber, Luke catches it, turns it on, we see it's green, and the Star Wars main theme comes on and we're like, Luke is finally the Jedi Knight. You know, he's finally the hero. It's so cool. And then you're right, the whole ending is top-notch Star Wars. the Luke Vader fight, the music that goes behind it, the dialogue exchange between
Mm.
them, and the emotional weight of that fight is so strong. It's so good. Um, the Emperor is amazing, and they did the right thing. But like we've always known that there's an Emperor in the background, but obviously he realized right if the arc is going to be that Vader turns good in the end,
Mm.
it needs a villain who is ultimate evil because it's just what it needs. And Ian McDiarmid plays an incredible, iconic Emperor to Vader. Like it's so good.
It's great that they've gotten him for the whole series.
Yeah, I mean you can't not. He's so good.
He's very good.
I think where it's the weakest in the original trilogy for me, and I think everyone kind of agrees, is and I don't hate the Ewoks actually, but I do think the Endor section slows the movie down.
Mm.
It's not as exciting as Jabba's palace, and it's not as exciting as the end. So there's a bit of a lull period, and it does feel weird that the final battle ever with the Empire, yeah, it does include the Ewoks.
These
very
random Ewoks,
strongly.
yeah.
It kind of feels like it's like, are these like look at it, there's some really sad moments at Ewoks where they're getting mowed down by the stormtroopers, but it kind of feels weird that, and I remember someone pointed out to me before at the end of the movie, had they never made any more Star Wars, it all ends with Ewoks and rebels dancing and having a fireworks celebration. And that's how Star Wars ended at one point.
Mm.
Like there was not going to be, maybe there wasn't going to be more. And it's like, yeah, that is kind of an anticlimactic ending. But the whole Vader redemption thing is so strong. And I'm not a huge fan, even though I agree with you how cool it looks. I'm not a huge fan that they rebuild the Death Star. That's another
Okay.
one where it's like they kind of done this. They're kind of redoing A New Hope because the space battle is also to blow up the Death Star again. So it's kind of retreading ground, but all of the new stuff that's introduced in Return of the
Yeah.
Jedi
But then
is amazing.
did they do that as again a trap?
Oh no, yeah, like there's look at it's justified and everything, but I feel like it could
Yeah,
have
yeah.
been something else, or maybe if they finally found a way to infiltrate the Emperor's palace, that would have been a really cool setting for
Mm.
that final confrontation. I don't know. The Luke and
I
Leia
think
stuff is weird, and Han Solo, while it's great that they rescue him, and that's a really cool opening premise.
Mm.
He doesn't get much to do in Return of the Jedi, and that's
that's
really
because
that's a
he
real.
wanted to die. He didn't
I
want
know.
to do it.
That's a real shame because obviously he's one of the key characters of the original
Mm.
trilogy. So, but that's the only reason it knocks it down a little bit for me.
I actually saw a post where very interesting. It's also very harrowing. If you were to rewatch the scene when Luke is talking to Darth Vader and he asks him to take off the helmet, he takes off the helmet and everything. You can hear
Yeah.
gunfire and screaming in the background, but there's no rebels on the Death Star.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah. So they're having like a big crazy mutiny where it's like everything's going, "Fuck you! I'm taking the supplies."
Exactly, they're all like kill all
They're all
Empire
fighting
are
over
killing
the
each other.
evacuation pods and shit.
Like probably, yeah, they're all shooting or they're shooting
Never
each other.
thought of
Just
that.
yeah, it's like wow, that's messed up.
That's crazy.
It's amazing because also the other thing was I think the Ewoks eat all the bodies. Of
That's
the
only as maybe. They have
Fuck
the
it, I
helmets and
want
they're
it.
playing
But no,
drums
in
on them.
fairness,
But
why do they have the nets to capture people and come at them with spears?
yeah,
You only
they're
do the
probably
nets.
little cannibals.
Well,
Well, they're
they're
not cannibals. No,
no, but
they're
they're
just
probably carnivorous. They're bears. They're just they're small, but they're carnivorous.
yeah. The Ewoks are much darker than people ever gave them credit for.
No, they're really dark. Just they look little fuzzy.
So we're at the top two. I think most people. This is where I said the list might be a bit boring and predictable.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, I think most people would have these two at the top two, probably in a very particular order, and we'll see if we're in also that order or not.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, you know, the original trilogy is just timeless. They still to this day look amazing, and they changed cinema history. They're the
Mm.
original blockbusters. Um, and they're yeah, all the acting, everything is so good. So Eric, what do you have as number two?
Star Wars, the Christmas special.
Oh yeah, sorry, we should have said at the start. That's not fucking included. I never said that wasn't included. It's not. Oh god, I've never sat through the whole thing. It's fucking awful. Go on, Eric. What's number two?
You've attempted to watch. Jesus, that's more me. It is Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, which is not a great title.
Uh, no, as a title, it's not particularly great, but
I think that and Attack of the Clones are pretty weak titles compared to everything else.
yeah, yeah. What's the best title? We'll
Ooh,
get there.
yeah, we'll
Okay,
get there.
how about this? I actually agree with you. My number two is also The Empire Strikes Back. Now, this might be the bit that maybe annoys people because most people would have this at number one.
Mm,
I obviously think I love the original trilogy, and I think it's one of the best movie trilogies ever made. Like it's probably my number two. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is my favorite trilogy. Star Wars original trilogy is probably number two for me. Um, and I just they just steadily. It's not that they get worse. I just have a different, and this is reversed for me. When I was younger, Return of the Jedi was my favorite,
mm,
then Empire, and then obviously the one that
okay.
we've left to last. And it's only as I've gotten older that's
Mm,
changed. But Empire, you cannot deny its absolute brilliance. Not only the performances, the darker turn, the whole Hoth sequence is amazing. Not
mm.
just the battle, but also the Luke getting lost out in the wild, the Wampa trying to kill him, Han Solo going out to risk his life to save him, telling fucking other rebels that I'll see you in hell, and you're like, oh, is that thing? Um,
The Tauntauns smelling bad on the outside.
yeah, you got to put him in, get him warm. Um, Yoda
There we go, Yoda.
being this mysterious character who's eventually introduced. You see this other little hermit dude. He's amazingly puppeteered by the Henson Company. Frank Oz does his voice. He's immediately an iconic character. And his turn from being just a little funny creature to then, I cannot train him. And when he finally becomes Yoda, and for the rest of the movie is just a wise master,
Mm,
he's amazing in it. And it's, you know, that's another area where they subverted expectations. We've told you about this amazing Master Yoda. And so you're not expecting this little green creature at that time. Obviously, he's too popular now that,
yeah.
Star Wars is too popular that the big twists are no longer twists because it's just ingrained in pop culture. But try and put yourself at the time when this was all new. And when Vader dropped the line, I am your father, I wish it's one part where in the future I can't wait to have kids. I want to watch their reaction to that. I'm going to make sure they don't see the internet. And I want to film their reaction to that scene because I actually don't know what it's like. I don't remember a time not knowing that.
Mm.
So I want to relive it through someone else and I want to see how shocking is it when you don't know for that big twist.
Do you ever see
Incredible.
there is a video online of a guy filming his daughter who finds
Oh
out.
yeah, I've seen loads of them, and I'm going. I want that in person though. I want that experience firsthand myself a little bit. Um, Han Solo's arc in the movie is amazing, and his relationship with Carrie Fisher
Mm,
as Leia is like they really build on that so well. Vader is cooler and more menacing in this one, and that final fight sequence on Bespin is incredible.
mm.
There's very little I don't like about this movie. The only thing that knocks it down just a little bit is I think in the middle again, it's a bit slower than the one that I've left to number one. So it just slows down a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, it does slow in the middle. They definitely don't get very far.
No,
Kind of take into account, not much actually happens in it.
no.
Um,
But there's the really cool that it's all a trap for Skywalker,
yeah, it's trapped for
and that they're
Skywalker,
they're
and
they're
it's
torturing his friends and not asking them any questions, just knowing that Luke will see it. That's such a fucked up thing to do.
well, the dark side is fucked up. I keep saying this, right? I keep bringing up
Yeah,
the
you're a
how messed up
revolutionary, man.
the dark side is messed up because I remember an interview with the director and main actor for The Acolyte and how they were saying that dark side is so much cooler and they would totally go for it. And again, that's me just going, you guys don't get it.
Are they just saying that though in a cool interview thing of like, oh, it's just like you get to wear all black and you get red, it looks cool, as opposed to in real life, I would
Oh
assume.
yeah, but still, it's
I know.
those interview areas are you do have to watch what you say because
So do you
even
want to add anything to Empire Love rather
Empire.
than shitting on something we're not even talking about? Fuck the Acolyte.
I just wanted to shit on it.
Yeah, go on.
We never actually talked about it, I don't think. But did we?
No, we're not going to talk about Empire. I'm more interested in that.
No, 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 no. Let's talk about the
We're
Ahsoka.
already like so long on this. This is the
Right.
longest episode we've done in a long
Empire
time.
Empire is amazing. It's done really well. It adds more onto what is established from A New Hope, but it would not exist without A New Hope. Thus, it is made number two for me.
Okay, okay. So obviously that leaves A New Hope as both our number one Star Wars movie. When I was younger, I disliked this one.
I was boring as hell.
I thought that when I was younger, and I think a big part of it was I loved lightsabers when I was younger, so I loved lightsabers duels. And obviously, the duel in A New Hope is the least exciting lightsaber duel.
Hmm.
Now, from a story point, it's not, because it means a lot. But from a choreography standpoint, obviously, they weren't able to go as far as they get to do later.
Hmm.
However, as I've gotten older, and I just appreciate the art of cinema and movie making, every time I watch A New Hope, I can't believe it exists. And everything else that has followed is as a result. This movie was kind of an independent movie.
It's an indie movie, yeah.
Nobody believed in it. As and you could see any interviews with the cast and everything, they all talk about how they read the script. They're like, "What is this? This is fucking nonsense. I don't think this is going to do very well." How he got it all to come together and change cinema history blows my mind every time I watch it. I think every scene is iconic, partly because they've all been spoofed somewhere, and it's impossible to watch the movie now without thinking of all of the parodies. The sets are amazing, the costumes are incredible, and this is, again, this is the first time you're seeing any of it. Everything else is based on the stuff that's established here. Like Vader, when he first walks in, he just looks amazing. And that breathing thing. Alec Guinness is amazing as Obi-Wan. The cast, chemistry is incredible. The pacing. If you want to know how to pace a movie,
It's actually really good, yeah.
A New Hope should be your blueprint, because there's fun in it, there's charm in it, there's really dark moments in it, there's emotional moments in it, and like you get time to grieve for, say, when Obi-Wan dies. They give it time to grieve. And then they go on to a big space battle, and then they're going, "Woohoo! Don't get cocky, kid!" And yet it's not jarring. They somehow pull the whole thing off where you're like, yeah, I'm sad for Obi-Wan, and yes, okay, let's go kill the evil Empire. You know?
I laughed at your mention of that because of, again, one of the thousands of spoofs that there are, where
Yeah.
I think it was Robot Chicken, where it was oh, are you upset over the random old guy you met yesterday? Oh no, don't worry, my planet just got blown up, but I'll help you grieve.
What another amazing scene, the destruction of Alderaan
Yeah.
in front of Leia's eyes, just to kind of highlight this is what we can do and this is what we're going to do to any system that defies us. As much as Vader is the iconic villain, Peter Cushing as Tarkin is amazing in it.
Yeah, he's that very mortal kind of evil.
Yeah,
Like Darth Vader is this almost celestial demonic evil.
yeah,
Cushing,
he's supernatural. We don't understand him yet, and the
yes,
mystery is what intrigues us.
but Tarkin is he's it's the Nazi general, isn't he? Like, that is
Yeah,
what the
yeah,
whole fucking movie was, and it makes it timeless because it's not so on the nose with what it's trying to say.
but it's all understandable and relatable. I think as
Yes.
well, every time I watch it, I remind myself 1977.
1977.
It looks incredible.
That the people behind that sound are hired by so many studios to do the sounds for
They
so many
changed
different
cinema.
things.
They changed cinema.
Special effects. It's an indie movie, all right?
The
Because
the model work in it
the
for the
model work
ships
is
and everything is, they just look real. Like you feel like
fucking
you're
nuts.
actually in space. I never thought of it as a kid because I just took it at face value. As you get older, you go, how did they even make this? Like, and the single greatest shot in all of Star Wars is in A New Hope.
Which probably one of the greatest pieces of cinema music.
Like
Luke
that's the other thing.
Skywalker.
How did they get John Williams to go? Like the score does a lot for this movie
Yes.
as well. So you have a great script, amazing pacing, amazing characters, an amazing premise. amazing costumes, amazing designs, and then this original score that also changes cinema history. But when Luke looks out at those two suns and
Mm.
the music plays, that scene is just amazing. And it says so much about Luke and the wider galaxy. Um, yeah, it's just incredible.
It's like, I think, was it you said it, or was someone else said it? It is your classic sort of. So again, as I was saying with the Empire that's established, it's your very tyrannical evil force, right? And
Hmm.
literally every story, book, movie, comic has it, right? It's what makes it timeless. But we do kind of know historically where their biggest influence was, but it's still this timeless because they're not so on the nose of the head. They're not so on the yeah, they're not knocking it on the head, like they're not being like robots' rights, animal
Yeah,
rights.
yeah,
They're just they let you know. But it's also like the squire, the peasant boy having to go to the evil castle to save the princess. Otherwise, the kingdom is doomed. It
yeah.
is that
And he's lectured by the wise
the
wizard
wise
that he finds in the wild, and uh,
the Merlin character, like, you know
yeah.
what I mean?
So yeah, the whole thing it's like A New Hope is a fantasy story, but with a sci-fi paint over
And
it.
it just works. And the kind of very and then when you get this samurai fight, because that's kind of what it is, the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. While it's when you have the whole saga in front of you, it is very like almost biblical. It's very mythological, this fight,
Yeah,
but at the time it's very samurai. It's very sad the way they hold it and the kind of the dueling aspect of it. Obviously, yeah, it's not as cool
it's not
as
as flashy or anything, but yeah,
but that's another then inspiration because Darth Vader is very samurai looking and stuff. So it has like so many different things inspiring it as well to make it this iconic movie. Which again, and without it, we would not have any of the other 10 movies on the list that we just talked about.
absolutely. And I think what you've said hits the nail on the head as well, where you can, if you're a cinephile, if you go into cinema history, you can see the influences that are in there. It's not that George Lucas thought of this out of nowhere. He was influenced by things, but he brought it all together in a unique way
Hmm.
that created something so original that Star Wars became its very own unique identity, and there's nothing else like it. And it's not to say, I think sometimes people could kind of get bogged down in is it a negative outlook that you think that the first effort was the best and everything that came after wasn't as good? And I don't think it's that. I think it's just that for me in ranking them, that one gets number one because every time I see it, I get overwhelmed because I just think it's absolute cinema magic.
Hmm.
And that's all I have to say on
That's
A
what
New
that's
Hope, which is also the best title maybe in the saga. Is it? Hmm, maybe.
I think it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But yeah,
This has been
a
our
long
longest
episode.
episode in a long time. Maybe the longest episode ever. But I think Star Wars deserved it.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed going through the rankings. I think there was a lot of them where we were similar, and then there was others where we differed. So, but I want to hear from other people. So, guys, if you have endured our long journey through the Star Wars saga, um, and if you want to share your rankings, please do let us know. So if you're on YouTube, jump down to the comments to share your own personal rankings of Star Wars movies, your thoughts on the movies that we brought up and our points that we brought up. Obviously, we're kind of flying through them a little bit too, so we could go much deeper if you want to get into the comments. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell for future content. And to those of you listeners on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on the Star Wars saga. Thank you so much for checking out this week's episode. And we hope that you guys have been celebrating Star Wars around Star Wars Day too. Do get in touch, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye.